As usual, after reading the caption of the broadcast, please read the description of the broadcast as well. Then like it, share it, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, your frenemies. Tell them all that Mayegun today. In fact, in this special session, broadcast, it will be very ideal for you to tag every Ronuku that you know, whether he or she is an Abroadian Ronuku, a local Ronuku, a Ronu Nazi, Ronu bandit, tag them that there's something you want them to see because Mayegun is live. You see, every time people want to be gaslighted, whenever they raise concerns or observation, objection, opposition, or maybe as far as offer criticism on the actions of the people in government. So they get gaslighted by those who are the friends of those in government. Mostly they are not really friends of those in government. These are the people we called voluntary slaves or on-board slaves. It's a long story. However, these ones will gaslight you and quickly call you enemy of the country for exposing their real enemies. People have been lied to again and again, and it is the same technique. It's not different. From January to December, from decade to decade. Same tactic, same trick, same lies, work all the time. Propaganda, where the criminals in government will pretend that they are offering, like ideas or policies that are supposed to change people's situation from what they considered bad to better, only for people to realize later that it is just job for the boys, where criminal politicians, once they have access to power, public fund, they devise different means, of how to deplete the commonwealth of the people. And you see, most of these things that they are doing, right, they are not doing them, the underhand dealings behind some of their fraudulent policies. They are, rather than for these policies to change the lives of the people, rather, it makes it worse. Because the underhand dealings that they put behind that, is more or less like what I call the job for the boys. It's never for the people. And when you have to expose them, in this instance, unfortunately, these guys, they have the best manipulative countries that they could actually be in charge of. So they are the luckiest politicians ever, because they will always have people, right, that can indeed defend them in the face of obvious evidence of fraud, corruption, manipulation, and others like that. Somehow, they always get away with it. But that won't stop us from reminding those those supporting them, and even those opposing them, by reminding everybody that the consequences of a bad governance is not limited to those who support them. And of course, those of you who are also their supporters, you are also not immune, which means it is also not limited to those who are not supporting them. In a clearer kind of like understanding, means everyone is a victim of bad governance, whether you are a supporter or you are an opposition. And if for any reason, anyone that cares for himself or herself, you will never get on the voyage or an adventure of self kind of like a self-hurt or self-destruction. People are doing it. Some will say it's because they are ignorant, they didn't know. But I can tell you this, majority of Nigerians, they know what they are doing. There's something called selective amnesia. They have a chance of remembering the bad they want to remember. Only depends on them who and who is involved. Now, you see, APC, they have then mastered the art of deceit, propaganda, blackmail, gas. You know, they are so good that they will accuse you of what they are doing. They will accuse you of you doing that with no evidence, and they will believe it strongly. Or if you pay attention very well, everything they will accuse or they have accused anyone of, or still accusing anybody of, is the exact thing they are doing. Lying, gaslighting people. You see this coastal road, when it all started, we could see through the lies. But let me give you a bit of, a backstory to have a clearer understanding of this fraud that Tinubu and his gang are perpetuating on Nigerians, put it that way. And they are even doing worse. Coastal Road is even like the meanest of what they are doing right now, okay? In plundering that contraption. And to those who are telling you that they are doing reforms and the reform will pay back later in the future, here you get, by 2031, when Tinubu is done, if he makes it that far, right? By 2031, these people, you won't see them again. A single one of them you won't see. Because if you don't believe me, at least there were those who are always on our faces. In the 8 years of Bukwari, they called us names. They called us enemy of Nigeria, enemy of progress, for exposing the fraud that later impacted millions of lives negatively in that contraption. And they are on the journey to that again. I mean, they are, in fact, whatever you condemn Bukwari for, Tinubu and his gang, they are doing the same thing like in 10-fold, if you pay attention. So those who were always calling us enemy of Nigeria under Bukwari, how many of them have you seen so far now? When all this revelation of pillaging, plundering Nigeria, Commonwealth came to public. Now, we won't go into, has anyone else been punished for all of that yet? You know, it is called esprit de corps, meaning they can't punish themselves. But let me give you this backstory of this coastal road, all right? It is not Tinubu's idea. Fine. In fact, from their own gazette, their documents of the federal government, this coastal road has been on their shelf since 1982, during Shagari's time. And their plan back then, right, was that even up to Jolantan's time, they all kind of like, they all fiddled with it until Tinubu saw an opportunity. And I'll let you see this. So the idea of a coastal road was that they were going to build 10 lanes, 5 on both sides. And it will also include over 18 bridges on like 20 or so islands, which by the time you get to Ondo State, from that place on, right, you begin to really start the real construction. So the plan then was that now after the plan for the 2 lanes, 745 kilometers road, right? In the middle of it, there will be, a train track as well, all down to this Calabar. But it was a massive project that they believed that they would need real investors, PPP. You know what's called PPP? Public-private partnership. So the government of Nigeria, they will provide or secure the right of way, meaning government of Nigeria will mark where the road will pass, and every property along the road, all the land that they need to pay compensation, government of Nigeria will do that. That's their part. These private companies that will now be private investors that will now have to bring their money, they will need to construct the road all the way from Lagos to, in fact, some said that Lagos was even not part of it. Yeah, some were saying that now. But however, I'll stick to what I already know, which is that it started from Lagos. So the plan then was that these private companies that will construct the road, they will now to recoup their money after the construction. Once they completed the road, standard, verify that everything like constructed to specification, it will now be the time for them to put tolls on the road. It may be 3, it may be 4, depends on how many companies come together to build this 700. It may even be just like a one toll gate. Whatever they agreed on, this will be how they will recoup their money. That will be when the road will be opened to the public, and you can drive on it, pay your toll, and this company will take whatever agreed percentage from that money, and they will still pay the rest to Nigeria. It was supposed to be a win-win thing. But somehow they couldn't find any investor to build the road, or they were just not interested, successive governments. Immediately, Tinubu came, and remember, under Bukuwari, Rotif Miamechi already built this their Lekki Lekki seaport, because they are already building a new city completely, like far away a bit from Lagos, on that side called Lagos Atlantic City. I'm talking about multi-billion-dollar investment. I guess the major investor in that place as well, Shaguri. Yeah, Shaguri. There are Indians, there are Chinese, that all these others there who have, I'm talking about hundreds, if not thousands of hectares of land, but they are mostly reclaimed from the sea. So to further open up the place that they have already constructed for themselves, right? They needed this road. And they could have done it without all the fanfare that is kind of like connected to this. They could have just built a road to their Lagos Atlantic City. But they have so many plans, encroachment, land grabbing, and all those other plans they have. But still, it was an opportunity. Let's call it a Tinubu's legacy project. If somebody says this is going to be my legacy project, right? At least you go do it right. But no, you have to do it Tinubu's way, like what they did with Lagos Lekki Expressway, that they mounted toll gates. That Lekki toll gate was not supposed to be built, right, or functional until the road was completed. Lekki toll gate Lekki Road Expressway was never completed when they started collecting toll. This is the Tinubu style. Did he give room for public bidding, or people to say, okay, yeah, they are interested in the project, it's so lucrative, they will make their money back? You know what I mean? Like, as they have been telling you. No, they didn't. Their volume a year, they just, like I said, they just grabbed this document of Coastal Road, dusted it up. No real investigation, no real communication with the people and all that, nothing. Environmental assessment, whatever it's called, certificate, have been an investigation. They didn't do anything. But they claim to have done it because the intention was not to really build any road per se, or complete any road. But when we said it, they said it's because we are enemies of Nigeria. What is the benefit of committing trillions, that is over $12 billion of Nigeria money that Nigeria no get to, right, to a project that you have no plan of completing and not being done the right way? Rather than allow people to bid, Nigeria saves some money. You don't have to give your money. But no, he called Shaguri High-Tech. And they announced they have awarded the contract to Shaguri. How? When did they bid? That stuff. They insisted that, they are vuvuzelas. They are hallelujah boys. They won't let you say anything. It's because you are an enemy of progress. This coastal road is going to bring progress to Nigeria. It's going to open up. Of course it is going to, if it is completed. I mean, I don't have any power to either make them complete it or not complete it, but the person who has the power is the one we are talking about. They don't have any plan of completing any road. I even placed a wager, I mean, what do you call it, a wager on this. £1,000 that if Tinubu managed to maneuver his way and last till 2031, if he completes 200, I mean, so if he completes 300 kilometers from that this coastal road, right? Or more, give him pass mark. Then I will lose £1,000. It is not because I probably, like some will say, oh, it's because you don't want him to do, you don't want him to succeed. Stop gaslighting people. Start looking into what is before you, in front of you. So then they said, okay, construction didn't start until February 2024. That was last year. That we shouldn't say 2 years. No, don't say 2 years. They used 2 years to complete 30 kilometers. But because they know those they are dealing with, right? They need to show them shining things so that they can show up like, oh, we are doing something. Look at it, we are doing something. 1 trillion naira was paid. Hang on, they added extra. 1.4 trillion naira was paid to ITEC, Shaguri. Lagos part of the construction of the 745 kilometer highway, Lagos section, I mean, section is believed to be like the best part. The moment you begin to get to Ondo and you begin to like go on to Delta, Rivers, on and on like that, then the real construction will start. For 1 trillion naira, ladies and gentlemen, for 15 months. So why, people will say, why are you commissioning something that is like 4% of the construction? The truth is that there is no 4% construction anywhere. There is no 4% construction anywhere. So let's assume that 15 months takes them to construct and complete 30%. Yeah? How many months? Because that's like a year and 3 months. How many years do you think it's going to take them to complete a 745 kilometer road? Also, do not forget, this was supposed to be a 10 lane road. But right now, there is no train track plan. There is no 10 lane. They have reduced it to 6 lanes. And they are sending their vuvuzela enough to go and tell everybody that, oh, it's so beautiful. Of course, 1.4 trillion naira. Do you even understand how much that is? They are constructing coastal road with 20. When we divided how much, because right now it is valued at with the devalued Nigeria currency, it's the project is totaled at 12.1 or so billion dollars, and it's valued at around 18 to 19 trillion naira. You get that? That's a lot, right? Okay, so 30 kilometers road completed, and they threw a party to celebrate Tinubu's 2 years. Unfortunately, there is actually no 30 kilometers road. So sit back. You see, the next video you are going to see is currently making rounds on social media. So you probably have seen it. And if you haven't, well, this is your chance. A brother, Shegun, was at the supposed venue of 30 kilometers completed road by Tinubu. I mean, I want to believe that it was so bad, right, that they couldn't even take a ride on their supposed 30 kilometers completed session, right? They couldn't even take a ride. So they mounted a tent at the, at the tail end of the beginning of the road, praised themselves, showed themselves some videos of what they have done and all that, and everybody clapped, praised themselves, and they left. They didn't even take a ride on it. Maybe if they took a ride, maybe if Tinubu, even if he's kind of doing a favor to, a favor for his friend, Shaguri, at least he should do the job. Many of you will remember this. If you are in the UK during the COVID time, there was this scandal. All right, it was this scandal of I think 10 billion pounds or something it was a contract, okay, awarded to Boris Johnson's brother or a family member. His company got the contract to supply us face masks and a few other things like that at the, during the heat of COVID. So after the COVID and the investigation about,